Hello, it's another month, another Monday, and another chance to learn from our mistakes. Happy March. This quarter of the school year is flying by. I feel like I say that every single month, but it really truly is. So we're almost into spring, and we're really starting to make some gains in a lot of ways towards our social and emotional learning, at least in my surroundings, in my community, and at this school. Here's what I mean. In my experience, I'm really starting to see students act a little bit more like typical middle schoolers, our teenagers and our preteens, socially and emotionally, kind of adjusting to all this work, this effort that we've put in for the 2021-2022 school year in developing their social skills and as well as emotional well-being. Now, I don't know about any other teachers out there. I'm sure we're gonna have some back and forth. We're gonna make some gains, we'll take some steps forward, and then of course, we might take some steps backwards in terms of our students' development. But we're trying to stay the course. We're trying to be as positive as we possibly can while also realizing we're being realistic with any mistakes or any problems, any issues that come up in education. If you've been following along with what I do for a while, for the last few years, I've tried to identify one major teaching mistake that has occurred in recent weeks and a mindful approach on how to respond. So we're gonna get right to it this month. Recently, what I've noticed in my own teaching, and you'll have to see if this connects with some of your own experiences in education, what I've recently done is a little bit too much. I think I've tried to get too clever with some lessons. I've tried to get too complex or intricate. In other words, I think I've been trying to get too cute with some of my unit plans. Oftentimes, complex can be very useful, but for young people growing up and going through education, it might just be complicated. Specifically, I'm thinking of some lessons where I use a lot of analogies and metaphors, and I'm big on that stuff. Using kind of some tricks, I suppose, and bringing that back at the end of a lesson or a couple of days later to see if we can draw on that and really bring about some concrete, real-life skill development from some of the abstract activities that we've done. Some of that stuff just goes over students' heads. They just don't understand it. I tried to get too complex, and it didn't work, it backfired. We can also see that sometimes we use too much technology. It might just be that a simple pencil and paper works instead of getting too much into and intricate with our tech development, whether that's online documents to use, whether that's actual video screens and smart boards. So sometimes technology doesn't necessarily mean that the lessons are better. So when I feel that, what I want to do is make sure that I stop, I'm mindful in the moment, and that I back up quite a bit. Let's go back to basics, in other words. Basics in this sense might mean being straightforward. Identifying some objectives, some what we would call performance indicators in health education. What is the state or national standard we're trying to meet? And then just going straight at that, trying to make that clear and transparent for students. Perhaps this hits home for other teachers out there. Do you ever get too cerebral for your own students and for your own good? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Which leads us to our mindful tip for this month. And that is sometimes simple equals successful. Now, this doesn't mean doing the thinking or the work for students. We still want students to come to their own conclusions and start to really make some of these great connections to their real life, taking things from the classroom and applying it once they leave. It does mean explicitly taking some of those real life lessons and stating them, just bringing them out into the open so that students are very clear as you're being straightforward on what the lesson, what the goal is, and what the true takeaway is out of anything that happens within the school. Simple and straightforward doesn't mean that it's less impactful. So this might look and sound like a specific statement in the debriefing and the processing point of your lesson, on the conclusion. Something like, remember, the big picture takeaway here is, and then fill in the blank. This could also be useful in an introduction, the next day. Hey, I want to rewind back to 24 hours ago or the last time that I saw you as a class. Can somebody help summarize the main takeaways from that lesson? Sometimes simple equals successful. Sometimes straightforward is the way to be. This is something that helped me out in the last month of teaching, and I wanted to put it out there for you today. Can you think as a teacher yourself about those instances, those lessons, or those units that have just gotten away from you a little bit, and it's time to dial them back Is it possible to be simple to be successful? Remember, this doesn't mean that we're dumbing things down for anybody, but we do want students to walk away from our class, from our course experience, having those main topic takeaways. Sometimes simple equals successful. Try it out in your own teaching. Let me know how it goes. Maybe that's a quick tip that can help you out for March and beyond. As always, what I'll do is I'll try and find a resource to put right here in the YouTube description about this very topic that you can check out right after watching. Okay, that's it for this month. Thanks as always for tuning in. In case you haven't seen yet, I do have a new book that's being released on March 15th. It's entitled Sex Education for Boys, A Parent's Guide. It's available for Amazon pre-order now, and as of March 15th, it'll be available wherever books are sold. I'll be back next month to examine a new teaching mistake and a mindful approach on how to respond. Until then, I hope everyone is happy and healthy, and if not, I hope you're taking steps to get there. We'll see you soon.